Our board welcomer does not appear to be here, so I want to just welcome you myself and to invite our board members who may be here to give a wave and say hello. They're here. They're always loving to connect. Elizabeth's there, Barbara, Wendy, and Val, and then many more folks who serve this congregation. If our board welcomer were here, and then there's Jen in the back, another board member, I am sure that he would say that you are welcome here and that we are a community of diverse beliefs and backgrounds, of different genders and sexual orientations, of different races and ethnicities, and of abilities and disabilities, both seen and unseen. That no matter the direction that your path has taken, we are glad it has brought you here in this moment. Whether this is your very first time in our space or watching online, or if you have been coming to this congregation for 50 years, either way, you are so welcome here. And then probably he would give you announcements, which I never pay any attention to, but are invitations for you to be involved in the rich life of this congregation. But I think today we don't have anything after service, so, or at least there's nothing in the order of service. I will say that when you get your reminder email, if you are on our email list on Saturdays, you get a reminder email about Sunday morning, like, hey, tomorrow's Sunday, did you remember? Here's a reminder, it's Sunday tomorrow. And that email also lists everything happening on a Sunday here. So any small groups that meet, any classes that are meeting, any big gatherings, like the everybody's birthday party that we had last Sunday, all of those are listed in that reminder email. So keep an eye out for that. If you're not signed up for our email newsletter, be sure to see Nicole, our wonderful congregational engagement manager, after service. She's wearing a yellow shirt today, bright yellow shirt, and she'll get you signed up. And great. Okay, that was the welcome from the board. Hi, welcome. I'm Reverend Amanda Poppy. My pronouns are she, her, and I am honored to serve as a senior minister here at UUCA. I serve alongside my colleague, the Reverend Carol Thomas Sissel, who is on sabbatical. She's back in June, so she's on her second and last month of this sabbatical. And that means that during the sabbatical, I particularly get to share worship with lots of other folks, so I'm really delighted to be with Tommy Lowe, one of our worship associates. For this special Sunday, you'll hear more about that later, and to be sharing worship with our band and musicians who coordinated their outfits apparently fully through hive mind. Like, no planning, but don't they look great? So I'm so pleased for that, and to be sharing worship with all of you today, gathered in the sanctuary and watching online. If you are online, please say hello in the chat so that folks know you are together across the miles and the internet waves, I think. And if you're here in this space, will you turn and greet each other, particularly someone you haven't met yet? Good morning. As you find your seats again, I hope you will continue that spirit of connection in our coffee hour after the service. If that coffee hour time, which is in Fellowship Hall right behind you, feels a little much, a little busy for you, you are welcome to the welcome room for a quieter space and a chance to sit and talk with a couple of folks from the congregation in a calmer setting. That is down the hall, all the way at the end on your right, and the door should be open for you. So either way you choose to connect, we're so glad you're here. Our call to worship this morning comes from the poet Marge Piercy. This piece is called The Seven of Pentacles. It's a little long and it's really descriptive. So I want to invite you to kind of take a breath and to even you might close your eyes. You just might sort of imagine as she shares this language, which feels just right for the spring. Under a sky the color of pea soup, she is looking at her work growing away there actively, thickly like grapevines or pole beans, as things grow in the real world, slowly enough. If you tend them properly, if you mulch, if you water, if you provide birds that eat insects a home and winter food, if the sun shines and you pick off caterpillars, if the praying mantis comes and the ladybugs and the bees, then the plants flourish, but at their own internal clock. Connections are made slowly. Sometimes they grow underground. You cannot tell always by looking what is happening. More than half the tree is spread out in the soil under your feet. Penetrate quietly as the earthworm that blows no trumpet. Fight persistently as the creeper that brings down the tree. Spread like the squash plant that overruns the garden. Gnaw in the dark and use the sun to make sugar. Weave real connections. Create real nodes. Build real houses. Live a life you can endure. Make love that is loving. Keep tangling and interweaving and taking more in, a thicket, a bramble wilderness to the outside, but to us, interconnected with rabbit runs and burrows and layers. Live as if you liked yourself, and it may happen. Reach out, keep reaching out, keep bringing in. This is how we are going to live for a long time. Not always. For every gardener knows that after the digging, after the planting, after the long season of tending and growth, the harvest comes. The Seven of Pentacles by Marge Piercy. Before Tommy lights our candle of compassion and shares his words, I want to hold in the care of this community some of our own folks. We send care to Larry Thomas, who was in the hospital with an infection and is now in rehab at Goodwin House. And we hold his wife, Sunny, in care. She asks especially that we offer prayers for strength and healing. And we also hold with great tenderness Michael Shea, who lost his wife, Kathy Sullivan, to cancer several weeks ago. Kathy was a UUCA member who most recently helped organize the Voice Buses last October. Michael and their family are planning a memorial service in July. And both of those will be shared in our Wheel of Life in our e-newsletter this week.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And happy Mother's Day to everybody who celebrates. While many of us celebrate today by holding our mother's hand or embracing our children, there are many who cannot. Let us hold in our hearts those for whom today holds many difficult and mixed emotions. Mothers who helplessly watch as their children go hungry or suffer in pain. Many who have complicated relationships with their mothers or their children. Those who yearn to be mothers but cannot. Mothers who worry about the safety of their children from violence and war. And many who miss their mother's warm and vibrant presence. And those whose family structures don't neatly fit society's convenient labels. Let our candle of compassion remind us of those who carry sadness in their hearts today. Okay, and now we light our chalice. The words are in your order of service. And since it's Mother's Day, I thought it would be really nice if we heard more from the mothers. So instead of what we normally do, whereas the worship leader reads the first part by themselves, and then we all read the second part together, I thought today it would be nice if we heard from all the mothers, heard from everybody, that we will read both sections together in one voice. So here we go. We gather together as a community of memory and hope to celebrate life and its infinite possibilities for love. We light this chalice as a symbol of the light within every human heart. May our individual sparks meet and merge, bringing both light and warmth to the world.
I invite you now to rise in body or in spirit and join in singing hymn 1003 in your teal hymnal. And where do we come from? David's going to help us out.
Where Do We Come From has 4 parts. We'll sing all 4 parts 2 times through, and then after that, you choose which line you want to sing. We in the band have all predetermined who's going to sing what. You get to choose now, but we'll go through each line separately, and then you can sing whatever line you like, and we'll end together. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? And choose your parts. And where do we come from? Where are we growing? Where are we growing? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going?
Thank you so much, band. I enjoyed the Choose Your Own Adventure hymn singing this morning. I'm always curious what people picked. I went with mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Anybody else? Or some of us? Yep. Who stuck with the first one we learned? You're like, David sang that at the very beginning, so that seems like I'll just do that the whole time, maybe. I want to invite our younger folks to come forward, if you'd like, and join me up here. We are going to look at some images on the screen, some pictures that maybe some of you have seen recently. But you can, did we lose our little carpet? That's funny, huh, David? Okay, well, let's talk about it at staff meeting. So we're going to look at some images. So you might want to sit, I'm terribly sorry, on the cold floor, or you might want to sit on the first row. But if you look over at the screen, is that from Artemis 2? It sure is. Fist bump for that one. You saw it right away. Awesome. This is an image from Artemis 2. A couple weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago, Rev CTC talked to us about the story of Mae Jemison, who was an astronaut. She was the first Black woman astronaut in space. And so we've been thinking a little about astronauts and about space. And then we got some amazing photographs from the Artemis 2 journey. Who can tell me what Artemis 2 is? Can you explain to me what happened? Yeah. Artemis 2 was a spaceship mission to orbit the moon, to go, and then she says to go around the moon in case, thank you for that description on orbit, excellent. Anything to add about Artemis 2? Yeah. They traveled 230,000 miles, a what? Away from the Earth. They traveled 230,000 miles away from the Earth, yes.
They're also planning on landing on the moon, too, like, people back to the moon.
In the future, they're planning on landing on the moon, like that's a next mission, yeah, to go and land on the moon. I saw a funny meme that had a picture of the moon, and it could see Artemis coming, and it was like getting ready for an exciting adventure. And then it showed, I mean, it wasn't a photograph, it was a cartoon. And then it showed Artemis going around, and the moon said, I got all dressed up for nothing. So I'm glad to know, right? Like that'll be coming. Anything to add about Artemis 2? Yeah. It was the first time in like 50 years that we sent people into space. So it was a pretty big deal, right? And I don't know about you, but it was like following those astronauts and what they experienced was really a space of joy and beauty for me. And so I wanted to take a look and to think together about what the astronauts might have felt like. So here's a picture of, what do we think we see here? What's the big circle in front?
Moon.
Yes, and then what do you see behind the moon? Just like hiding. It's the Earth, exactly, and we can see the moon's shadow. So imagine seeing the Earth, everything that we know, everything that I've ever seen, right? All the way out there, 230,000 miles, I hear. Let's see the next image. So here we have one of the astronauts looking out the window. I don't know, do any of you ever look out your window at the birds outside or at people passing by or like spying just a little on your neighbors, wondering, have they cut their lawn? Have I cut my lawn? No. She is looking out her window of Artemis, of the space shuttle and the spaceship, and she gets to see the whole Earth. So something happens when astronauts get that far out and get to see the Earth and the moon whole like this. When they get to see the whole big Earth as one. What do you think might happen if you were in a spaceship and you were able to look out and see the whole Earth together? Do you have any ideas how it might feel? Like what emotions or feelings you might have? What do you think? You would feel amazed, yes.
I'd look for where I am.
Oh, and you can see the northern lights, you're saying, on the surface? Okay, that's amazing.
I would look for where I am.
You'd look for where you were, maybe. You would try to see, where do I live on this earth? And then I think I would start to think, wow, I'm pretty small on this earth because I don't think I'd see my house. Do you think so? I don't think so. No. In fact, I would see the whole earth at once, and I wonder if it would help me imagine all the people and all the animals and all the plants that live on this earth. There is something that they call the overview effect. Have any of you heard of that? That is the name for what astronauts report feeling when they are in a shuttle looking at Earth and they see the whole thing like this. They have the overview effect, which means they have a sense of this one world and how beautiful and precious it is. They often feel like it is inconceivable that we would have fighting or war on this world because it is so obvious that we are all one and that we depend on each other on this planet. So astronauts on this mission, on Artemis 2, and on other ones, report this feeling of the overview effect. And if you go forward just a little bit, we can see them watching Earth over the moon. And I think one more, Cameron. It was two more. Thank you so much. One more to the people. There we go. Okay. And here's a picture of the astronauts all hugging each other as they safely got into orbit, as they knew that the mission was going to work, right? Look, they're so excited. And I think part of what they're feeling is they worked really hard for that moment, right? And it's working. And part of what they're feeling is that sense of amazement, the overview effect as they look at the Earth as a whole and they experience that we are one. So I am not an astronaut. There might be astronauts in this room. There might be future astronauts in this room. But we can experience some of that feeling in our daily lives by looking at some of these pictures or reading about the experiences of astronauts, or even by taking a walk or spending time with strangers and becoming friends with them, with our parents, and figuring out how we can remember that we are all connected to each other. So I hope you have some of those times today. We're going to invite our children to their classes. We'll make an arch over the aisles for them to go through and sing them on their way.
Peace to you on your way. May you grow in love each day. Meeting new friends and opening your mind to the wonders of the world you will find. To the wonders of the world you will find.
Every Sunday, UUCA collects money that we donate to a selected nonprofit. This month's Share the Plate recipient is Alianzas in the Adivima Guatemalan Scholarship Program. Each year, UUCA members are part of a delegation that visits Guatemala and the students who are in the scholarship program. And here to talk more about this year's delegation visit is UUCA member Steven Zahnizer.
Thank you, Tommy. Good morning to everyone and happy Mother's Day. In March, I was part of a UUCA delegation to Guatemala that visited students in the Adivima Scholarship Program, a program that our church helps to support. The program is operated by a nonprofit community organization called Adivima, the Association for the Integral Development of Victims of Violence in the Verapaces region, Maya Achi. Adivima was founded by survivors of the Rio Negro massacres, a series of 5 massacres, one in 1980, 4 in 1982, that took the lives of some 5,000 people. These massacres were intertwined with the construction of the Chickasaw hydroelectric dam and the displacement of people whose property was submerged by the reservoir resulting from the dam. Adivima's scholarship program funds tuition, books, transportations, and uniforms for about 60 students, provides tutoring, and organizes extracurricular activities to expand the students' historical memory and to develop skills in painting, music, weaving, and traditional dance. Our delegation spent several days with Adivima's staff in Rabinal, the town of about 20,000 people where Adivima is based. There we could see signs of hard-won progress and evidence of what is possible when people work together in difficult circumstances. We visited Adivima's Community Museum of Historic Memory, which promotes the ancestral and cultural practices of the Maya Achi and cultivates the historical memory of the massacres, with the aim of preventing similar events in the future. We learned about Adivima's participation in Kukaich, a coalition of Maya Achi communities seeking reparations for the harms done to them. And we had the privilege to share in several joyful moments with kids in the scholarship program. We visited a middle school class at a nearby rural school attended by 2 of the scholarship students. Their class prepared us a large snack of boxboles, a traditional dish made of corn dough, tomatoes, and squash seeds. The students seemed to be having a lot of fun and worked well together. We were especially impressed by their teacher, who was engaging and covered a wide range of subjects. Afterwards, the 2 scholarship students invited us to their homes, introduced us to their families, and talked to us a little about their hopes and aspirations. On the last full day of our visit to Rabinal, we participated in an intercultural exchange at the museum with all or almost all of the students in the scholarship program. This event featured a Maya welcome ceremony, musical performances, a get-acquainted activity led by a visiting theater instructor, and in turn, our delegation provided a wide range of activities, including dance lessons set to popular music, perhaps forever contaminating the culture of the region, information about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., first aid, and origami. One student came up afterwards to say how much he had enjoyed the exchange. The money that you donate to help these students stay in school has the potential to transform their lives and the lives of their families by allowing them to finish high school rather than marrying at a very young age or working in the fields. Their education is a stepping stone to better work opportunities and becoming part of the next generation of their community's leadership.
Thank you, Stephen. 70% of today's offering that we collect will go directly to Adivima and the scholarship program and the 60 students that Stephen just told us about. The other 30% of today's offering will go directly back into the vital programming that we do here at UUCA. So please give generously. There are many ways to give, including cash and check in the plate that will be going around. Or you can visit uucava.org and click on the donate button. And there's also more information in your order of service. Thank you.
Where you plant your family tree, I will watch and tend the seeds. And if one day the axes swing, they're gonna have to get through me. And if the thief comes in the night, I'll expose these deeds to light. For those lies can spread so fast,
We must all be free at last. Where you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. I will walk you home till we all are saved.
They try to tell me you're not mine. They say to keep my eyes aligned. Scoff and say, haven't you heard? And I say, no, I'll never learn.
Though we come from different lands, here I take a steadfast stand. Now our stories merge and begin. You shall be my kid and kin. Where you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. I will walk you home till we all are saved.
Aquí me siento a tus pies. Enséñame cada canción. Y si te intenten silenciar, cantaré tu historia sin cesar.
And in the shade I will learn how the skies and seasons turn. And when the ice comes for your roots, it's gonna have to take me to where you go. I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. I will walk you home till we all are saved. Where you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. I will walk you home till we all are saved.
Wow. Thank you, UCA band. Makes me think of my favorite movie, Star Wars, which, by the way, is the greatest movie of all time. But you can just imagine Star Wars without the music. It just wouldn't be the same. And Sundays wouldn't be the same without our music either. So thank you very much. Okay, now we bless our offering. The words are in your order of service. I think we'll continue with the theme that we did earlier, and we'll read both sections together. Here we go. We bless and receive these gifts, opening our hearts to true generosity. Let us be grateful when we give, be it time, talent, or treasure. Let us be grateful for our needs and the experience of vulnerability. Let us be grateful for those who share their gifts to nurture this congregation. Yeah, thank you. Now we come to the prayer for today's service. This prayer is about hope and beauty, and it's inspired by process theology, which we will learn more about and during the sermon, right? Yep. Process theology, I think, was new to me, and I found it really fascinating when I looked at it. This prayer is inspired by that. So now we invite you to close your eyes or cast a soft gaze. Ground yourself into this place of love and beauty. Bring yourself to the moment at the beginning of the universe, before there was time and light, only nothing and the one, the moment before everything. From here was born everything we can see, everything we can touch, everything we love. From a blank canvas, a masterpiece of beauty and complexity. Our own life's journey started with a single moment. We too have blossomed and grown, eyes that behold countless everyday miracles, brains of unlimited imagination, hearts that hold enough love for every creature and pebble. But despite the beauty that is the universe and ourselves, we are brought low by the darkness all around us, the pain and suffering of our loved ones and innocence around the world, the destruction of democracy and communities, the naked rise of ignorance, hatred, and lies. How do we find our way in a world succumbed to darkness? At times like this, let us remember that God is our partner and guide, moment by moment, guiding us towards beauty. Reality is not the is, reality is the becoming. Reality is not the yesterday, reality is the moments of joy when we gather and hold each other, the moments of spark when we connect with and see each other, the moments of hope when we plant seeds of kindness. Reality is also the choices we make in those moments. God has given us the freedom of thought and choice. We choose the world we live in. We choose love over hate. We choose generosity over greed. We choose democracy over kings. We choose beauty over chaos. Let us remember that while God's goal is a universe of beauty, it is up to us to make it happen. So let us rise up for the innocent, even though we are fearful. Let us show kindness, even though we are overwhelmed by sorrow. Let us love those who have been forgotten, even though we too are forgotten. Let us create a united world, even though others try to divide us. Let us make it so.
Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí y al corazón, cántale tu compasión, sopla a volar, sube en la mar, hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Arraigame, libérame, fuente de amor. all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
I think I'm going to have us skip the video in the interest of time, and because Tommy, that prayer was so beautiful, and I think just leads us into the sermon today. So I'll post this video I was going to use for the reading. Did I totally mess you up, or can you just skip it? No, it's fine. Okay, great. I'll post the video I was going to use as the reading on my Facebook page this afternoon, and that's a great reminder that I don't ever proactively friend congregants, but I will say yes to all your friend requests. So if you would like to be my Facebook friend, I don't post all that much, but you are welcome to friend me, and I'll be your friend. On Facebook, that's also a good time to remember ministerial boundaries and the way that I'm not, your friend, I'm your minister. Okay, great, good, we're all good. And I would like, there's a lot of PSAs at the beginning of this sermon, and I would like to invite you this service to turn on, if you need to, your universal translator. That's Star Trek, not Star Wars. Sorry, Tommy. But this service is exploring theology, and in particular, exploring an understanding of God. And there are lots of folks in this and every Unitarian Universalist congregation for whom language of God is not quite the right fit. Sometimes that comes out of experiences of religious trauma, or sometimes it's just, that's not really a word that works for me. So get your universal translators, like 3 ticks to the left, maybe. And I invite you to learn and receive, and if you need to do some translating to make it work and be meaningful for you, please do so. And if you are someone who is like, oh, thank goodness they're finally going to talk about God here, this is a sermon for you. And I am so grateful and excited to share it. This is the final installation in our 4-part series about Unitarian Universalist theology. And actually, this sermon was the beginning idea for that whole series. It was an auction sermon, which is to say it was purchased at our congregational auction. And really what was purchased was the sermon and the prayer. So it's a sermon by me and a prayer by Tommy. And so thank you for that. I will just say also the other really lovely thing about that prayer was it gave me time to stop crying after the offertory music. I don't know if you all heard me singing and then just crying. Thank you for that. That is one of my favorite pieces. It's very meaningful to me, and it was just a joy to hear you all sing it and play it. Now I'm crying again. Also, there's a great video of that particular song featuring Flamey Grant, my favorite Christian drag queen, who was here for a concert last June, and Spencer LaJoy. They are an amazing musician as well as others. So, yeah, it's an auction sermon and prayer, and it was purchased by Mike Hynek, and comes out of Mike's deep interest in process theology, which I will tell you what that is, and out of a great lunch with Mike and Tommy and Barbara, Mike's wife, who was perhaps slightly surprised by this auction sermon purchase, but was nonetheless a fantastic conversation partner around it. Sometimes I get nervous during the auction when people are bidding on the sermon because I wonder what topic they'll choose. But I don't know why, because you all think about really interesting and important things. Last year, we got to explore aging and how to age well in the auction sermon. And this year, it is basically every Unitarian Universalist minister's dream to be asked to talk about process theology. which I still haven't told you what it is. So here we go. First of all, theology, right? We've been talking about this. Theology is just thinking about or ideas about the nature of God, the nature of the divine, the nature of the world and the universe, the meaning of it all, our place in it. Our opening hymn was theology. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Life's a mystery. In process theology, we're talking pretty specifically about an understanding of God and how God engages with the world. So that's theology. And then that first word is process, like becoming, change, an ongoing process instead of a static truth. Process theology is based originally on the philosophy of Alfred North Whitehead, an early 20th century mathematician and philosopher, and then it was further developed by other theologians. And process theology understands God as fundamentally changing and changeable. So it's a real shift from an understanding of God as omnipotent or omniscient. Instead, God is actually affected by the world. God isn't in charge of the world. God is changed by the world and by people. God is in partnership with the world, using not compelling power, but rather invitational power toward love. Invitational power, persuasive power, a welcoming, an invitation. And God in process theology is not removed from the world, but rather suffers with the world's suffering, right? So when bad things happen in the world, within an understanding of process theology, as we suffer, God suffers, and as we change, God changes. God is always changing and forming, and we are in partnership with God. Some process theologians really emphasize this idea of God's invitation and pull toward love, the way Tommy did in his beautiful prayer. And some process theologians have a more agnostic view around love. And they might say more fully that God is changed by us, and so the nature of God is neither good nor bad. It just changes as we change. God is change. We're going to return to that phrase a little later. Most process theologians would place themselves somewhere in the realm of panentheism, right? We have all these labels to define someone. Could be atheist, they don't believe in God. They could be theist, they do believe in God. They could be pantheist, they believe that God and the world is one, that the divine is in everything. Most process theologians are panentheist, literally means everything, pan, in, and God, theist, panentheist. And that's an idea that God and the world are connected, that everything is divine, but that God is a little more than the world that we see and hold, right? So all things are within this larger divine entity, this sacredness in the world. Remember, tick, 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 3 to the left on your universal translator. Yeah? Still with me? To explore a little further, here is a quote actually that Mike sent along to Tommy and me to help us with process theology. This is from John Cobb and David Griffin in their book, Process Theology, an Introductory Exposition, which I will say Mike described as being a slightly easier read than some other process theology texts. I don't really know what Mike's doing in his free time, but they say rather than God being the sanctioner of the status quo, right? That image of God making decisions, telling us what's right or wrong, always seeking order. God is also, and this is a quote, the basic source of unrest in the universe, seeking novelty and intensity of experience. They go on in that book to talk about the art of progress is to preserve order amid change and to preserve change amid order. And although God is the source of order, neither order nor novelty are understood as intrinsically good, but only as instrumental to the one intrinsic good, which is the enjoyment of intense experience. And Mike says, these are Mike's words now. I know intense experience is an odd term. It's generally understood to mean that the goal of life, our lives, is not just comfort or pleasure, but living deeply and fully, right? So a deep, full, a meaningful life, we might say. Okay, so, right, here we go with process theology. It is an understanding that we have the world, and that it is within a divinity, a sacredness within God, and that sacredness pulls us toward love, but ultimately it is affected by us. It is a partner with us, not a parent, right? A partner, not a parent. And that we are, with the divine, co-creators of the world and of the future and of the divine itself. We are co-creating with God, right? She is sort of somewhere on the outside of your, like, oh, I almost get it. That's where I am, so great. Same. So why are Unitarian Universalist ministers specifically so into this? Why was I like, yes, Mike, I am ready to nerd out about process theology. Thank you. Unitarian Universalism articulates some core values to our movement: equity, justice, generosity, pluralism, interdependence or interconnectedness, transformation. So those last few especially really point to a theology that understands change and evolution to be central to the world, to who we are, to our understanding of God. And in the middle of all those values, we hold love, right? We name that love is at the center. The first part of this series, we talked about what kind of love that was, about how it was a liberating love, a love that lets us grow and change, a love that seeks the growth of all beings. See where I'm going with this? Those ideas of transformation, of interdependence, of a liberating, growing, changing love. There is some significant resonance between Unitarian Universalist values and the ideas behind process theology. And so for some of us, maybe for many of us, maybe for someone of you out there, the idea of God as change, as a partner, might help us find a way into understanding of the divine, of our place within it. So you know by now, if you've been at any of the other theology series sermons, that I am mostly interested in theology in terms of how it can help us live. Like, what is the point of believing a thing if it doesn't bring meaning or help us make decisions or help us during difficult times? I'm just not into it if it's just an idea out there. And Mike especially wanted us to take this concept of process theology, this way of understanding the divine, and see how it might apply to our world now, to this moment that we are living in. Because here is the thing, the theological or philosophical framework that many of us may have been using, if like me, you've been Unitarian Universalist for some time, you perhaps were kind of taught into this framework, I don't know that it's working so well right now. Liberal theology of the 20th century, including Unitarian Universalism, has a kind of onward and upward forever bent. Things are getting progressively better. Even that much-loved phrase, originally from the Unitarian minister Theodore Parker, and then made famous by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends toward justice. It is reasonable in this moment to ask, but does it? As laws guaranteeing civil rights are overturned, and as advances made in gender-affirming care are outlawed, and as reproductive health is denied, we might say it does not actually seem like it's bending toward justice, or how exactly long are we thinking this moral arc is, right? The theology that may have been working for us at one time, if it ever did, and I will say your mileage may vary and may have varied on that. I think that it worked particularly well for folks with a fair amount of privilege who in their own lives and their families' experience were able to see generations of onward and upward. I don't think it ever worked particularly well for folks not holding that kind of privilege. But now it may not be working for a lot of us. And so here is where process theology might come in and help us out. And I want to give a big shout out to the Reverend Sadie Lansdale, my friend and colleague, who serves the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greensboro, North Carolina, and who, in a very small world kind of way, was a teenager at River Road UU when I was the intern minister there. How cute is that? Reverend Sadie preached basically about how the heck we're supposed to hold on to hope. And she did that at a UU ministers gathering last January, right after many of us had been together in Minneapolis, learning from and witnessing the work of organizers fighting against ICE. It was a moment when the room gathered there of Unitarian Universalist ministers and religious professionals was feeling particularly aware of the death-dealing policies of this administration, and particularly aware of the ways in which our world overall doesn't feel like we're onward and upward. Reverend Sadie used in that sermon, in that service, that Seven of Pentacles poem that I shared as our call to worship from Marge Piercy. And she invited us into a space of understanding hope in the planting and the creation and in an unknown harvest. That hope can live in the interchange between our hands and the soil, that it is in the doing of it, in the gardening, in the work, not in the expectation of what will come. She used some beautiful metaphors and language about planting a garden and not knowing what would come to harvest, right? As any gardener will tell you, the way the poet puts it, as any gardener will tell you. You don't know exactly what will come, and it has to do with your work, but also with whether the sun shines and if the birds have been made a home. That image of gardening as a metaphor for engagement with change, to me, is helpful in understanding how process theology might speak to this moment. That if I can understand myself as co-creating with God, if I know that the divine is suffering and mourning and grieving along with me, and that we together are trying to figure out what comes next, that feels a little more connected to the reality that we find ourselves in right now, for me. Process theology also gives us one key assurance, that things are not going to stay the same. It doesn't promise how things will change, but it promises that they will, and it invites us to be part of that change. In fact, it tells us we cannot escape being part of it. We are part of it. So the choices that we make, whether we are pulled toward that invitation to love, that's part of creating the future, part of creating the divine. And we are not the first ones to think that process theology might be helpful in understanding, and in understanding in hard times. Octavia Butler in 1993 wrote Parable of the Sower, which is the first of a trilogy of novels that are dystopian novels. They follow a teenage girl living in California between 2024 and 2027. So just hold in your mind, she wrote them in 1993. Living in California during those years after climate catastrophe and economic collapse. And this teenage girl this young woman creates a religion called Earthseed. And the core tenet of that religion is, all that you touch, you change. All that you change, changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. So, yes, Octavia Butler was not just an author, but a philosopher, a theologian, very much. Later in that series, in another book, in Parable of the Talents, a politician runs for president using the slogan, "Make America Great Again." causing one to wonder whether folks are using it as a playbook or Octavia Butler was also like a prescient, I don't know, witch of amazing proportions. She was indeed quite incredible. If you haven't read The Parable of the Sower in the series, I encourage you to do so. And it's a hard read right now. It's a hard read to hold right now. But within that, Butler invites us into this understanding within the religion of Earthseed, little garden there, into this understanding of change and God being one. And that in the midst of catastrophe, in the midst of living in a dystopia, that this is a guiding idea. Now, the theology here in the midst of this novel doesn't, frankly, have a whole lot of hope, right? It is not an onward and upward forever theology, but it does have a great deal of human connection and courage and people trying to figure things out in the midst of horror. And it reminds us that nothing is static. On this Mother's Day, I, of course, think about mothering myself. And as a parent, when my kids were in a particularly challenging stage, I know I would try to build all the tools I could to respond to whatever it was that they were going through in that moment. And then inevitably, it would change and they would be in a different stage. All those tools were no longer relevant, and I would try to build new tools to respond to them in that moment. My kids are 14 and 18, still building tools. We're on it together now. That to me is parenting, really, in a nutshell. You prepare for the moment in front of you, you try to meet it, the moment changes, you change. The relationship changes. And it may be that it is also being human in a nutshell. You try to prepare for this moment, you try to live in this world, the world changes. You try to prepare for that moment, you try to live in this world, the world changes. Process theology invites us to understand that being human, that figuring out how to live in this world over and over and over again, that we are doing that in partnership with the divine, that we are changing the nature of the world and the nature of God, even in our own change, that the divine is with us through it, that this is not a God that solves things or sets things in motion or runs things, but a God that changes with us, that moves with us, that accompanies us, that is changed by us. We are invited through process theology, and I would say through many of our Unitarian Universalist values, to be co-creators of the world. So, click your universal translator back to wherever you want it to be, and if perhaps some notches have changed, I invite you into that expansive understanding. Thank you to Mike for bringing that idea to us. Let us sing together now. We're going to sing our closing song. The lyrics are in your order of service. This is from our new virtual hymnal. David's going to help us out.
So please rise and join us in this. It is from our evolving source, our online hymnal. So you'll just sing the chorus, and we'll start with the verse. I am looking for shelter in a friend. We can build a beginning, but I do not know the end. I am scared of breaking when I bend. We will carry each other on the way. My courage is your courage when the journey is only getting longer. My strength is your strength. We will carry each other on the way. There are prayers I don't know how to say. I still find solace when I close my eyes to pray. What I've lost and what I hope can stay. We will carry each other on the way. My courage is your courage when the journey is only getting longer. My strength is your strength. We will carry each other on the way. I am full and I am running out. I'm a flooding river and I'm living through the drought. I have firm conviction and my heart is full of doubt. We will carry each other on the way. My courage is your courage when the journey is only getting longer. My strength is your strength. We will carry each other on the way. My courage is your courage when the journey is only getting longer. My strength is your strength. We will carry each other on the way.
Now we come to the end of the service and we extinguish our chalice. The words are in your order of service. And together, we extinguish this chalice, but not the light and warmth it represents. These we carry with us, bringing our sparks of love to the world.
Friends, may you find yourselves to be co-creators with each other, with this community, with the divine. May it be so. Amen.
Even something as small as an apple, simple and somehow complex, sweet and divine, with a perfect design. Can I speak to the architect? And there's a canyon that cuts through the desert. Did it get there because of a flood? Was it devised, or were you surprised when you saw how grand it was? Is it thought of it at all, or just paint on a wall? Is there anything that you regret? I don't understand. Are there blueprints or plans? Can I speak to the architect? Sometimes I look in the mirror and wish I could make a request. Could I pray it away? Am I shapeable clay? Or is this as good as it gets? One day you're on top of the mountain, so high that you'll never come down. Then the wind at your back carries ember and ash that burns your whole house to the ground. Is it thought out at all, or just paint on a wall? Is there anything that you regret? I don't understand. Are there blueprints or plans? Can I speak to the architect?
thought that I was too broken, and maybe too hard to love. I was in a weird place when I saw the right face. The stars and the planets lined up. Does it happen by chance? Is it all happenstance? There's nothing to say in this mess. Is it too late to make some more space? Can I speak to the architect? This life that we make, is it random or fake? Can I speak to the architect?